Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
Coach Elko's my guy, right? Like, I love him. I love Michael Early. Like, I think Bucky's going to be incredible.
It's football, man. And that's what Warriors do. They don't want to sit out.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Believe it or not, we'll do a show after a game on a Sunday like normal and on a Monday like normal. Nothing changed. Nothing like we didn't avoid anything. We've done it all. We've stayed on schedule. Texas A&M falls to Texas on Friday, and I'll start it off. Look, they took it to A&M in the second half. They absolutely took it to A&M. A game where red zone offense struggled, a game where special teams struggled, a game where the physicality definitely favored the University of Texas. The game where for the first time all season long, I think the elements got to A&M. And we begin TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations here on Monday, December the 1st, 2025. We're not going to give you a half full, half empty. We're just going to tell it to you the way we feel about it. Olin Buchanan, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. It is a good morning.
It's always a good morning.
You know
right?
what's a good morning?
Because we're talking college football.
Talking college football, and you know what? A&M's going to be in the playoff, and all that matters. Look, I was as frustrated and disappointed as anybody, but I said this last week when we talked about one of our listeners said that, or suggested that it would be better to beat Texas than win a national championship. Remember that? And I was just putting my head in my hand, and I'm like, I wanted to win as much as anybody, but there are bigger fish to fry, and you're in the kitchen with a frying pan. It's up to you. Now, you're going to have to play better than you get against Texas. Texas looked like the more focused team, the more inspired team, the team with a greater sense of urgency, and they outcoached and outplayed A&M.
Yeah.
So you know what you have to do? You have to make sure that moving forward, you got one game and as many as, 4 to play?
Yep. But
you got to be the more intense team.
Some of the things we have seen, I would say, since the LSU game, right? Magnified against Texas, but I mean, even in the Missouri game,
I would say some of the things that are the biggest
we've seen all season.
We've seen all season,
like big plays from running backs at the start second half,
or just big plays from running backs. And I'm starting to afraid. I'm afraid that we just keep misfitting is going to be Mike Elko's version of find the inches. You've been misfitting since Robert, whatever his name is, at UTSA,
Robert Henry Jr.,
ran 75 yards for a touchdown on the first play of the second half.
You know what's interesting, though, OB, like the tell of two halves, because I didn't like the first half, but they moved the ball. They were in position to really go up and make a huge difference because you're getting the ball in the second half. And then that third quarter was atrocious on two ends, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I thought we even talked about it up in the press box after that one series where they got to the 13 and had a false start on first.
Can't have that.
And we said and then had the field goal block. We say, I think we actually said this. This is the symptom of this is how you lose games you're supposed to win.
Yep.
And what do you know? Now, look, I'm not going to sit up here and say, hey, Texas played harder than A&M. I do think they seem to play with a greater sense of urgency. But then you watch Casey Concepcion.
He plays with
and
urgency.
He plays with urgency all the time. Did anybody look like they were playing harder than Casey Concepcion?
No. The part that I was really surprised by We did give the playbook for like what Texas would have to do to win. If you watch Nuño's notes, we talked about it. Like if Texas is able to run the ball, which they were able to do. But the parts that I was confused by was the offensive line actually for Texas, who had struggled most of the season.
Yeah, played great.
They played great.
They did.
Right? Texas, without a couple of their really key players, played great.
Yeah, that's another thing that I just can't figure out. Colin Klein, look, Texas, Anthony Hill's not out there playing, and you don't have Ty Anthony Smith. Is that his name?
Ty Anthony Smith.
Ty Anthony Smith in the first half, and yet they didn't come out testing Texas's run defense. I thought they would have run more. They'd try to take advantage of that.
We got a super chat for $1.99 from a Texas fan, forever little brother. Hey, buddy, MP Houston, that's fine. Hey, congratulations on the win. Some of us have class.
Why do you even acknowledge those guys?
Well, because they paid. When you're supposed to acknowledge when they pay.
For $2?
Yes.
Here, I'll give you the $2 right now and just stop acknowledging them.
All right.
Here.
You know, I am a bit of a money freak on this show. So.
Little brother, my ass.
Well, hey, let's talk about that for a minute. Because there's a couple things that came up from our fan base and theirs that I would like to address, OB. One is from South College Station on TexAgs. It says, Nuño and OB at TexAgs need to stop the Heisman talk about Marcel. He's a very good quarterback, but not great. He makes a lot of mistakes. Let me just set you up real quick. Based on the information that the world had, okay, Marcel was a Heisman candidate. He is no longer a Heisman candidate. Information is allowed to evolve as the season plays out.
I've always said my Heisman rankings change every week based on performances. And if you, go ahead and take it. If you are paying attention, and we've pointed out frequently that if you'll look at Marcel's numbers and his, quote, Heisman moments, they are the same or better than the other Heisman Trophy candidates. So Marcel Reed was a Heisman candidate and maybe even the Heisman leader. I know Josh Pate said so, and I know there are others that have said so. Going into that game, it's not just me as a Heisman voter pounding or leading the campaign because he goes to A&M. It was obvious. But we even said if he's going to win the Heisman Trophy, he would have to play great in the next, what we were saying, 2 games. They were the Texas game and the big SEC championship if you got there. Well, they didn't get there. They lost. He didn't play well. He's no longer a Heisman candidate. But to say that if a guy goes through 10 games at A&M and he's having a Heisman-like campaign, again, you can't look at Fernando Mendoza and say, oh, he's way ahead of Marcel Reed. You can't, because it's not true. You can't look at Julian Saint and say he's way ahead of Marcel. You can't, because it's not true. Now, after last week, you can't. But I'm not, and I know you're not, going to ignore what A&M guys are doing. So maybe say, A&M should never, we should never, I don't even say tout, acknowledge someone's having a Heisman moment or a Heisman season because they go to A&M. No, that's not going to happen.
No, he was a Heisman candidate. He was a Heisman candidate. The other thing that came up is, okay, sorry. The other thing that came up was, I posted the video of overrated when A&M walked in, and I made the comment, preseason #1 team chanting overrated. Let's just kind of take that in parts. Was A&M overrated heading into that game? No, they actually weren't. When you're 11-0 in the SEC, regardless of what you think about the SEC right now, if you want to say, A&M, every team they took on was bad and that Notre Dame shouldn't even be in the mix, every team sucks. If any team's lost a game, they should suck. At the time, at 11-0, A&M was not overrated. That's a fact.
It's fact.
It's a fact that Texas took it to A&M on that particular night. And they've taken it to them the last 3 times they've played. They took it to them last year. They took it to them this year. Congratulations, Texas, for having a better team that day. Last year, I think you were the better team all season long. This year, I think the season played out that A&M was the better team through the regular season, but you guys get the last laugh of the regular season. You will still be watching the playoffs. A&M will still play in the playoffs. You can say that they were overrated at 3. I don't think you can when you're 11-0, right? Just like Indiana last year, OB, I said it many times. I don't really believe in them, but because they were undefeated in the Big Ten or whatever they were, had one loss in the Big Ten, I thought they were worthy of the playoffs. Same conversation applies here.
Michigan won the national champion. Ohio State won the national championship last year after losing to Michigan, had 2 losses.
Right.
All right. So it sucks to lose, especially to them.
Yep.
But yeah, they were a better team that night. And
look, they played differently than they had played big parts of the season.
Well, there's things A&M's going to have to do moving forward. And I don't know if they were as physical as Texas, which is alarming.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Arch Manning was much more decisive than Marcel Reed. There were times I saw Arch Manning, they need a first down. He doesn't care how he's going to get it. An opening comes up, he runs and takes it. I saw times when I saw what I thought were openings come up and Marcel hesitate. And then by the time he started to run, the rush was too close to him and stopping. So, you got to make quicker decisions. I thought Colin Klein made some curious decisions. I can remember you need 3rd and 2 and just, hey, let's just throw it up deep. And when all the momentum was with Texas, okay, he's trying to take it away. And usually you throw to KC and it's a good decision. But, at the time I'm kind of scratching my head and guys can't be, you get in the red zone, you got to be even more focused and you can't be getting those pre-snap penalties. And that's another thing that all year long has kind of been an issue.
So Callahan on YouTube wants to know, go by position. Why did we lose this game? We could take it in parts, OB, but I'll start off with second half adjustments that worked versus second half adjustments that didn't work. That's A. Another reason we lost. The linebackers, right, and the misfits in the defensive front, right? They did not stop Trey Wisner, who had all season long not rushed for 100 yards. In this game, 154 or something like that, 158?
Yeah, he got almost half of what he's had all year, almost. So.
Right. So that's a reason. Why did they lose? A&M's offense, I think the play calling and the production was pedestrian, especially in the second half.
I agree.
Red zone efficiency, horrendous. Special teams. All right, I'm sorry, you can't miss field goals all the time in tight games when the SEC's in tight games.
I know they got a kicker in that's from College Station's been hurt. They got to get that guy well fast enough. I know they're college kickers, so if you get over 40 yards, I think you're rolling the dice. But when you start getting inside a 35, you should expect to make those. Now, I don't know if it was on Zirkle. Somebody's got to. Your special teams coach has got to figure out what's going on. They've had too many kicks blocked this year.
Yeah.
So, you got 3 weeks to figure out a lot of these things. But are you going to figure out these misfits that's been occurring all year long?
And they occurred last year.
Yeah. But, and is it, here's what I find alarming is, and I haven't looked, this is just the ones off the top of my head. We talked about Robert Henry of UTSA going 75 yards on the first play of the game, first play of the second half. I
believe it happened in the
Missouri game, right? Didn't Missouri have a long run?
Didn't Utah State have something to start the second half too?
Probably.
I believe they did.
And I think, and then of course, Wisner went 48 yards on their first play.
Yeah.
These can't be just coincidence. At some point, you have to start thinking, okay, why is this happening on the first play? What are we showing or not showing?
Look, the score of the game, 27-17. I think I predicted 31-19 is what I think I predicted because I did not think A&M's offense would go into neutral, and I did not think Texas's offense would be able to score 27. I was wrong. Obviously, congratulations, Texas. Yay, all the Texas fans watching. Good. The thing that really frustrated me was the 5 trips to the red zone, the 17 points, and then you kind of, I don't know if you have the stat in front of you, OB, but Marcel's kind of struggled with his interceptions in the red zone.
Well, he has 10 interceptions this year. 5 of them have been from the 21, which technically isn't the red zone, but it's the edge,
close
right?
enough, right?
5 of his interceptions have come when they snap the ball at the 21-yard line or closer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, there's obviously one against Texas, one against South Carolina, one against LSU. That comes to, you remember that one.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And again, man, you just got to make better decisions. Now, that one against Texas, I know you might say that there's a certain amount of desperation involved, but there was when I'm looking at it, I know he's trying to get the ball to KC, which I understand that, but there's 4 or 5 orange shirts around there.
Yeah.
I think you can look at that game and just list several ways where A&M failed.
OB, I want you to respond to Matt Taco, who listens to our show often.
Okay.
He's always involved.
Okay.
Texas game showed us who we actually are. Any other takeaway from that game is simply delusional.
So, all right, yeah, let's just throw in the towel. Lost to Texas, so of course you can't have a good year. You can't win games. So, the Notre Dame game doesn't count. The LSU destruction doesn't count. The going up and winning Missouri doesn't count. The amazing rally against South Carolina, none of that counts. If that's how soft you are, what's his name?
Matt,
if you're really that soft, why do you even follow it? So I'm just going to give up whoever they play they're probably going to play, I'm guessing, Virginia. I'm thinking A&M's going to be ranked probably 6th. Maybe they'll be 5th. Could be 7th. I'm thinking probably 6th. And probably get Virginia. So, this is who we are. Okay. We're going to go out and not convert in the red zone. And our pass rush is not going to be as effective. All those things. Like I said last year, and I know we're talking about Ohio State, but last year Ohio State lost a couple of games. They lost to Michigan in their last game, and they won the national championship. Is losing a game? Is it, 4 years ago, I've told you this story. My son and all of his frat brothers were at my house before that game, and they were all just taunting me about how bad LSU was going to beat them. And I remember saying to them, and I've said it on this show, yeah, you're probably going to win, but you never take an SEC road game for granted. Never, especially at night. You never take it for granted. And sometimes, by the way, how did Texas possibly beat A&M when they lost to Florida? And how did Texas possibly beat A&M when they went into overtime with Kentucky, a team that just fired or is going to fire their coach, or went overtime to Mississippi State, a team that you destroyed?
Yep.
Come on, man. Matt, I'm sorry, but dude, you're soft.
Look, what I'll say about all that is, this is who you are right now.
That was who you were that night.
Right, for 11-1, and it's going to sting until your next game and your next, hopefully, victory, right? That being said, I think A&M probably isn't the LSU team we saw, and I don't think they're the Texas team we saw either, right? Does that mean with the right matchups, they can't win a couple of games in the playoffs and maybe find themselves in a championship game? And could they beat Ohio State on a neutral site one night? Not the team that I saw on Friday. The team I saw against LSU could. Everybody in the world was saying that team against LSU, but that's been a long time.
I've said it from the Notre Dame game on, and I'm going to continue saying A&M is good enough to beat anybody in the country. They're as good as anybody. They're not good enough to go out and just beat anybody if they're not going to be. Elko said it a couple weeks ago. Said, hey, if we're a blue collar team, if we're not being physical and all these things, and you got to make better decisions. If you don't do that, then we're gonna be in trouble. He actually said it, and it's true. But if you go out and play your style of football, and you can't, that's why I'm thinking about. They talk about being physical and all this. Well, it's 3rd and 2 in the if I'm recalling it right, it was 3rd and 2. Texas just scored to make it 10-6. And all the momentum is with Texas. And I know you're trying to get a big play to change that momentum, but you know what you need to do? You need to just move the ball. And it's 3rd and 2, and you throw up that pass. I was thinking, if you're such a physical team, just go get it. And go get it by going to E.J. Smith in those instances.
Tony Rain on the YouTube page, where does he say? He says, the SEC was ours. What's our excuse this time? There is no excuse.
There's no excuse. Nobody's making an excuse.
Who made an excuse?
You got beat.
Yeah.
You got beat.
Congratulations. They
You know
they
what?
won.
Georgia got beat. Alabama got beat. Ole Miss got beat. It happens. You win. I love A&M fans. They're great to me, but some of them do not handle disappointment very well. You're like, hey, they lost a game that you really wanted to win. And, we talk about Georgia. Yeah, they lost the game. But they also was Georgia, as good as they are, loses to Tennessee if Tennessee doesn't miss a very makeable field goal. That's not anything Georgia
And that
did.
same Tennessee lost by 20 to Vanderbilt, was it?
Yeah, so, and went into overtime with Mississippi State. There are no easy games in the SEC. There are none. And if you're not playing your A game, especially on the road, you are subject to losing.
Yep.
Acknowledge that. But don't just, hey, we lost the game we really wanted to win, so now the whole season's over and this is who we are. I don't understand that way of thinking.
Look, it sucks, no doubt about it. Got to go back to the lab. You do get to play again, right? You're probably going to play at Kyle Field. Should be an electric atmosphere. And how does it feel that they didn't, that they can't go to the SEC championship game?
Sucks.
It sucks. But what, you want me to what's next? Do you want me not to play the next game?
So we're going to just put up the white flag moving forward?
No, it sucks. And by the way, after the last few years, I don't care how they got into the playoffs. They got into the playoffs. Texas Tech hasn't had that brutal of a schedule either. There's a lot of teams that haven't had a hard schedule. A&M beat a very good Notre Dame team. They beat, at the time, a good LSU team. They lost to a Texas team that played their best game, I think, of the season.
Yeah, probably. Look, I don't care what the records are. I'm one of these I'm not buying that easy schedule bull crap. Beat Notre Dame on the road, beat LSU on the road. You can say, hey, LSU's not that good. You think, they lost this week. You think Oklahoma thinks that LSU wasn't good with a backup quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's in there. Georgia has struggled at times. Alabama, you beat Missouri. Alabama had a lead on Missouri. Did they win it? No, but that consistently right there with other teams. So it's because the SEC, like I said, there are no, quote, weak teams. Who's the worst team in the SEC? Kentucky?
Or Arkansas, yeah. I'd say Kentucky.
Okay, Arkansas. Arkansas, look at how many one-score games they lost. Kentucky, like I said, they took Texas over. There are no easy games in the SEC. And so when you lose one that you really wanted, I get it. And there are things you have to do better. You can't do some of I'll just say, some of the things that you did against Texas. You can't do that moving forward because you'll lose. But that's not who you are all year.
Yeah.
It's not.
And Brad Duncan says we're not a guarantee to make the playoffs. No, we're guaranteed. They're in. They're in the playoffs.
Does this guy really think an 11-1 team that with a win over?
Yeah, they're in.
By the way, Missouri's maybe in the top 25. So if they are, you're going to have two top 25 wins, including one in the top 10, and you're 11-1. Is that a Texas guy? I hope that's a Texas guy. It's an A&M guy.
He's an A&M guy. People are in their
good
feelings.
Lord Almighty.
Look, we're 23 minutes into the show. We haven't said hi to humans. We haven't told the people about the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, which we really like hanging out at. We haven't done anything. We are like, look, if you want to be a part of the conversation, Obie, tell them how to be a part of the conversation.
You call us or text us on the Buppies Catering and Bartending hotline at 979-693-1150.
979-693-1150.
But keep that weak, soft crap out of here.
Yeah. Only hard stuff.
I mean, if you're already, I lost to Texas, so now we can't, now we're not good and we never have been. That's just ridiculous.
I appreciate everybody watching the show, though. That isn't a normal viewer. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I have never watched another show just
cool. I'm glad they're watching.
It helps. It helps fund our playoff team for next year.
I just wouldn't acknowledge some of the things. You can watch, but doesn't mean we're going to acknowledge it.
No, I acknowledge it all. I don't know how to not acknowledge it. Anyway, what's the best way to get over a loss? If you're like, you know what, man, I'm just sad, I'm depressed, even though my team's going to the playoffs and we've had a great season, we're 11-1, I'm really sad. How do I get happy?
You go to your calendar and you circle Thursday. What is that, the 4th? December 4th?
I don't know.
Is that Thursday?
Math.
I think.
Yeah.
And you say, you know, I got something to look forward to because on Thursday, 1775 barbecue is going to be open because they're only open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I can't wait any longer. So on Thursday, I can head out there and have some of that succulent brisket, some of that jalapeno cheese sausage, those amazing pork ribs, and that oh so good queso mac and cheese. And that'll get my mind right, get my stomach right, get your mind right, get your focus back on what can be accomplished. Because if you can accomplish Texas barbecue to that level, anything can be accomplished.
No doubt. And it's named after the military, 1775. So if you want to fight, Aggs, you go to 17. I don't know. I just try to find a way to
If you want to fight, go to 1775, get you some ribs and bite.
1775, txbbq.com, 979-492-6241. It is 1775.
And it's good.
Mm. I know you have something on your mind. I can see it. I can see your brain working.
No, I was just like, what are we waiting on? Look, I want to acknowledge that I was mistaken on second thought. Missouri didn't have a long run on the first play. I think they might have had a nice drive to open the second half.
Fourth quarter.
It was late in the game that they had another long run. But the fact remains A&M has had issues at the start of the second half. And I'm going to say, expressed a lot of frustration in that first segment. But personally, I'm more frustrated with some A&M fans that are seem like they're just giving up moving forward because Texas outplayed them.
Yeah.
Like you can't come back and play. You're going to have those games, and you come back strong, and
you hope,
you play better.
Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. I haven't said hi to people. I will say hi to you at some point, Reese and Nick. But Jesse, welcome to TexAgs Live. Thanks for calling.
Yes.
What's on your mind, Jesse?
Yes, I had a question. It seems that when A&M got the 10-3 lead, they got conservative. Even before the 2-minute, before the half, and like they were playing to protect the lead instead of being aggressive. We have explosive, where were those explosive throws down the field, and it's I might be wrong, but I'm an Aggie fan, and I'm hoping for the best, for the playoffs. But that's just my observation. No, on the defensive side and the offensive side, no adjustments were made. So that's just what I wanted to, point out.
Okay.
That maybe they got conservative.
Yeah, I don't know. That may be the case, but I don't know it's the case because I think the first play of the second half, they called a pass play. I don't know what they're actually trying to do because Marcel was in trouble from the first and ended up trying to scramble and then threw the ball incomplete. Next play was a 2-yard gain and then another incomplete pass. And then when they got the ball back after Texas got the field goal, the first play they ran a 4-yard gain. The next play they ran a 4-yard gain, and then that's when they tried the long pass. And I just thought that maybe you would say, well, they were, not being conservative by trying that pass, the deep pass to Concepcion. I get it, but at that time, I just thought, you need to just get this first down any way you can, and you've been running pretty successfully on them, and that's why I was a little bit miffed at that choice of play calling. But I don't know if it was because they were conservative. I do think this. Look, Texas made the adjustments. They did. And went out and just played a better football game in the second half.
They did. That's exactly right. Let's check in with Nick Savage, who's behind the glass. We haven't said hello to Nick Savage here on the show. We're way behind schedule as typical, but it's all right, Nick. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, y'all. How are you doing? Doing good, too.
I'm doing great.
My takeaway was, obviously I was disappointed Friday evening, but the more I thought about it, if you would have told all of us preseason, you're 11-1 and you're going to the playoff and it's a lock. You're going to get a home playoff game at Kyle Field. Would we all have signed up for that? Yes, absolutely. So that that's kind of. But
I think there's some that wouldn't have. I think some would have said you lost to Texas though. There are some that feel that way. Look, but as information changes, I'm allowed to be a little bit in mourning right now. That doesn't mean that I don't see a potential brighter future, right? That doesn't mean that at all. What I'm really good about doing though, OB, is other than this show and this job, which is maybe 70 hours a week for me, I disengage. When I'm happy, I can't get enough A&M content. Billy, I call Billy on the phone. We're chatting. I'm calling you. Everything is great. And when A&M loses a game like they lost the other day, which we haven't had one in a year, right? I was like, I just don't want to engage. I don't want to engage with people. I don't want to engage with. I just don't want to. Every family member I have wants to chit chat about the Aggies. I don't want to. Dad, what happened? I don't want to talk about it. I just did a show. I'm good.
I think the thing that frustrated me the most this whole morning was the guy that said, or that suggested that because you lost to Texas, that your whole 11 wins was a fraud. Oh, that's who we are. No, you're still the team that beat Notre Dame. You're still the team that really dominated Florida, the team that beat Texas.
Yep.
Dominated really almost everybody on your schedule. Had that great second half against South Carolina, dominated LSU. That's who you are too. One loss does not diminish your entire season, but you have to play better. There are things that you did in that game or did not do that you can't continue. You got 3 weeks to get it fixed, Mike Elko.
Yeah, let's hit a break. We've got some callers.
Huh? And then we can acknowledge Reese.
Then we'll say hi to Reese at some point. We got Scott and Jake on the line. We got Tennis Girl 25. I saw her whole profile on YouTube talking some smack. It's great. It's a great day, so keep it coming. Niagara, we'll check in with you in a minute. Obi, do you have you had a duck camp? There it is. Can you show the people your duck camp?
Yeah, my duck camp hoodie.
I like this hoodie. I have a similar one. It's a little darker green. The one
I like it. It's very warm. Didn't need to wear it in the studio, but it was great this morning.
Yeah,
when I was coming in.
42 degrees out there this morning.
Yeah, and wet.
So duck camp's got it all, buddy.
They do, and like I said, my son was in town. He was trying. I had to hide it.
Yeah.
Hide a lot of my duck camp things because he likes it so much. He did make off with one that I had 2 of one thing, so he got that. But
did he steal a hat too?
No, I hid my hat.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's how popular it is among the college kids too.
Yeah, college kids everywhere are checking it out. Old people are checking it out.
Like me.
Middle-aged people are checking it out. I guess I'm part of the old community. Niagarans of the world are checking out. Go to duckcamp.com. They're built for the outdoors, designed for everything else. Use the code TexAgs25 to get 25% off your next order. Quick programming update. OB, you don't know this, but I'm like you to stay for a couple extra minutes in the 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Marty Smith had to reschedule. He was working late on the whole Lane Kiffin ordeal, and he did great reporting there, and he had a good interview. Apparently, he had to go through some roadblocks to get to him.
Oh, Lane Kiffin story.
Yeah, at some point we'll get to that. It's TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, and we are not at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. And you know what? For the remainder of the hour, not one troll will be read.
Okay.
All right? But we'll see how it goes on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. And we go to Scott, who wants to chit-chat a little bit about this game. Scott, welcome to TexAgs. What's up, buddy?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I've been on your talk show a couple years ago, and y'all going to be shell-shocked. I'm 72 years old. 50 years ago, A&M was ranked in the top 5, almost made it to number 1, and knocked off Texas 20-10. Went to Arkansas, and Arkansas drilled them 31-6.
I remember.
They lost to Liberty Ball 20-0. Now, get this: 84, 1980, 79. Texas is ranked in the top 5 or 10. They got upset by A&M, so we never know what goes on with these teams. It's like deja vu. So I'm not criticizing any team. I think the kids got a little overconfidence like in 1975, but they'll survive. They'll come back and finish the season. That's all I got to say.
Rack 'em, like Jim Rome.
Yeah,
good call, Scott. Thank you very much, buddy. That was very nice.
Teams lose.
Optimistic Aggie.
Well, I mean, to me, that was just realistic. Now, there's no guarantee A&M's going to beat whoever they play in the playoffs, but they are guaranteed to be in the playoffs. Well, they're guaranteed.
We feel that they're guaranteed.
But they're going to have to do certain things better than they did against Texas. But my point is, they've done things better, a lot better than they had done against Texas. Now, maybe not the run defense in the second half. You know, that's been a consistent issue.
Yep. Let's go back to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Jay wants to chit-chat about the 11-1 season. Jay, welcome to TexAgs.
Hi, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Sorry, Jay. We lost you.
Call back. We'll put you on line 1.
I like how you can do that. Can we finally say hello to Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center?
Mr.
Nygren, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Y'all already been asked, but how are y'all?
To be honest with you, I can separate football life from real life, and football life, 11-1 going to the playoffs, I'm good. I wish the last game I remembered was a win, but it wasn't. It was to your rival. Sucks, but they're still going to be playing a game here at Kyle Field here in a couple weeks.
There's still 11 other games that they won.
Yeah, so. And you know what? My life does revolve around this football team, but I also have other interests in life, like my kids and my wife. So life is good.
Yeah, look, they're going to be one of 12 teams that have a chance to win the national championship. Go out and play better than you did against Texas.
Yep.
Boom. I think they will.
So we'll go from football over to volleyball, where Jamie Morrison and the Texas A&M volleyball team earned a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, which means there will be playoff volleyball at Reed Arena. The Aggies will face off against the Campbell Camels at 6 p.m. on Friday, with the winner facing off against the winner in the SFA versus 6 seed TCU Horned Frog matchup. This is Texas A&M's first time hosting since 2019, after a season that saw the Maroon and White finish with their highest conference winning percentage since joining the SEC in 2012.
I'd walk a mile to beat the Camels. You have no idea what that's a reference to.
I feel like when you explain it to me, I'll get it.
Old people will. The
cigarettes?
They used to, their slogan was, "I'd walk a mile for a camel."
That's right. That's right. I knew it was familiar. Let's get one more from Reese.
Yeah, Bucky McMillan and the Aggies men's basketball team extended their winning streak to 4 after boat racing the Florida State Seminoles 95-59 on Friday in Tampa Bay. The Maroon and White were led by Rashawn Agee, who had 17 points with 17 rebounds, and Ruben Dominguez, who continued his hot shooting stretch, hitting 7 threes on 12 attempts. This is the Spanish sniper's second game with 7 or more threes this season.
Is that an official nickname? Did you make it, or is it like out there?
I've seen it out there. I can't take
the
credit.
Spanish sniper.
I can't take credit for that.
I like
myself.
Okay.
Texas A&M will return to action tomorrow night in Pittsburgh, where they will take on the 5-3 Pitt Panthers at 6 p.m. on ESPNU as a part of the ACC-SEC Challenge.
Good stuff. Hey, OB, I want to give a shout-out to Caleb Russell, who played at A&M.
Okay.
Stephen McGee's old teammate. He's got these coasters, is that proper? That he's made. I don't know if you guys can see it. This is Kyle Field.
Kyle
What is
Field
yours?
is Reed Arena.
Nigrin's got Olson Field. They're really nice. So check out his company. It is Elm Custom Creation Coasters. Google them. If you don't, I think he met Kay the other day, and we got his information, so you can always reach out to us. But shout out to Caleb for this awesome design, and I'm going to use it. How about that?
I'm going to use it right now.
Right, bam. Here we go. Let's hit a break. We'll come back. We'll get to some more calls. I think we finally got the caller ready, so we'll get to him on the other side. Let's do this, OB. Let's talk Rollo Insurance. I'll talk about Rollo Insurance. When insurance matters most, who's going to answer your call? And that's the good folks at the Rollo Insurance Group. You get a personal agent with a direct number, not a call center, not an automated system. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Live, and the difference is real. They've got 60 offices in the great state of Texas. Their headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6. That's why you see Jason, Jackson, and the guys all over town, Keith, you name it, Morgan. They take great care of my family. They take care of many TexAgers and many people in this area. When you need advice or have a claim, you'll speak directly with someone who knows your situation, and they know you by name. That's the Rollo difference. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Hey everyone, it's David and Olin from the Holistic Planning
Cool Zone.
You know, I like when we have the chairs here because I don't feel like I have to do this when we're talking about holistic planning. But they want you to know, TexAgs subscribers, they take care of the TexAgs subscribers.
Oh, absolutely. Take care of everybody.
They want to know that anybody who signs up by November 27, 2025 will receive this awesome offer. If the Aggies beat the Longhorns or win in Austin on November 28, 2025, clients will pay no management fees to Holistic Planning for the entire 2026 calendar year.
That's free.
It's free 99. Actually, just free.
All you got to do is beat Texas. Well, it's not if they beat Texas. It's when they beat Texas.
When. And when you go to holisticplanning.com, you're going to love Holistic Planning. So it is holisticplanning.com. Check out the website and take advantage of this awesome offer. And we're back, I promise. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. I do want to remind everybody, National Signing Day show on Wednesday. A&M expected to have a very good class, and we're going to have our typical 3-hour show. And I believe Bronny and Hal will be doing something in the afternoon as well. We go back to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, and we speak with Jay. Jay, welcome back to TexAgs.
Hey guys, I guess the call dropped, but I'm back.
Okay.
I just want to talk about our 11-1 season. Was fantastic. I'm so proud of my Aggies. I'm just proud of all of them, and they need to hold their head high because we're getting a bye week. We're not playing the SEC championship, but we're going to be at home, and it looks like we're playing Virginia. So for right now, the way things stand.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the Texas game, we had to come out, and I think y'all have already talked about it in the second half, and we needed to drive the ball down the field. We need to score a touchdown and go up 2 scores and make it 17-3. And, but, you know, that didn't happen. We went 3 and out. And I think Collins' play calls were a little suspect, and I think our, ability to carry out the calls that they were given the place to run might have been a little suspect too. You know, we just weren't our true physical selves, you know, for some reason. I don't know if the crowd started, and I think it might be because if we would have quieted the crowd if we'd have gone 17-3 and, you know, scored in that first possession after halftime. But, you know, things happened the way they did, but that's okay because, you know, we won 3 SEC games on the road, and you got to remember Texas almost lost to Kentucky and State, 2 low-rung teams in the SEC. They had to go to overtime to win. We won all our games in regulation.
That's true, and that's kind of to the point I tried to make earlier, is that there are no easy games in the SEC, and especially when you're going against one of the better upper echelon, or at least upper division teams in the league on the road at night. There are no easy games in the SEC, and that's why you can say, you know, someone was saying that I'm hanging my hat on beating bad teams. I'm hanging my hat on beating the teams that were on your schedule that gave a lot of teams hard times.
Look, it doesn't matter, whatever.
And I expect that from Texas fans, but I don't get it when A&M fans. That's where I get frustrated.
Well, like, whatever.
When the Aggies you have Aggies dismissing their team that went 11-1 because they can't handle one loss.
Yeah.
That's what I just don't understand that way of thinking.
Does it matter, though? Get into the playoffs. Win a couple games.
Yeah, be who you were in the next 4 games, hopefully, that you were in 11 games. Not who you were in that.
Or at least in a few of those games. Because, you know, I want to see the team that we saw against LSU more often, that team. But we got to hit a break. We'll do one more segment.
Yeah, whatever you need.
We might do the turning point. I have an opinion on it.
I do too.
All right, we'll do that on the next side. It's TexAgs Live. freaking rookie here on the show again. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2, OB sticking around because Marty Smith had to reschedule. We'll get to him at some point. But let's continue the dialogue, OB. We had a really good message on the YouTube page. So let's go to Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
Yeah, ZB979 said, isn't dominating bad teams a big step of what we wanted? Good teams will always be a coin flip, but dropping games we should win has been the problem forever.
Yeah. Again, A&M has beaten some good teams this year. Missouri's a good team. Notre Dame's a very good team. LSU, people want to act like that they're terrible. They weren't terrible when A&M beat them. They had lost to Ole Miss by a score. They weren't as good as they were projected to be, but they were not a bad team, especially there. So A&M has really good wins. Again, losing that game at Texas, as painful as it is, does not diminish what A&M has accomplished this year.
Tyler Hamilton says he thinks Notre Dame would beat us right now.
Well, maybe we'll get a chance to find out.
Yeah. Look,
I've seen, it wasn't that long ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Notre Dame struggled. They won, but they struggled with Boston College.
Yeah.
So teams rarely does a team go unbeaten.
Look, I'm going to just, I don't know if I always feel this way, but you fan however you got to fan, right? If you want to just go back to where you were when we were 5-7 or 8-4, and that's what you want to feel like after losing to Texas, if that's what helps you get through the day, okay, fine, whatever, right? I have had so much fun covering this team this season, and Friday was one of my low points, right? It's supposed to hurt at this level. When you have a chance for really great things, it's supposed to hurt. But you fan however you fan.
But the point is, there's the chance for really great things is not over. That's the thing that I don't.
But you know what people say to that is, OB, I've seen what this team is, and I don't think that they can beat good teams.
All right, well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm glad they have an opportunity to find out.
And look, I'm so excited to be covering the playoffs. And I don't care if you gave me the easiest schedule ever or the hardest schedule ever. I get to watch my team have a chance to play in the playoffs, right? And I'm excited about that. If you want to be miserable, go be miserable. If you want to go enjoy it, if you want to be super fan, I knew people who were telling me they're going to go 12-0 and didn't know one person on the roster who were going to go 12-0. You can have blind faith. You can just hate us. You can just never enjoy the ride. Whatever you got to do, I enjoy the ride. I get angry too. I was definitely disappointed on Friday. My opening line of the postgame wrap was, well, that sucked, because it did suck, right? But thank goodness you've built up enough good cachet that you have an opportunity to write it on December 18th or 19th, whenever they play.
Would you rather be the team that's 11-1 and going to the playoff and lost to Texas, or lost to your rival, or the team that beat your rivals 9-3 and probably not going to the playoff? Which would you rather be? I'd take 11-1 and losing my rival and going to the playoff.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah. We got a couple callers. Let's go to Wayne. He's been waiting the longest. Okay. Wayne is on the Buppy's Catering and
bartending.
Yeah, bartending. Thank you for reminding me. Wayne, good morning.
Hello, Wayne.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's on your mind, mate? Wade?
Yes.
Go.
Hello.
Yeah, go.
Well, hold on.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I just want to talk about your schedule.
You want to talk about my schedule? I woke up this morning at 4:45, around 4:40. I prepped for the show. I ran 6 miles. I gave my kids breakfast. I got to the studio around 7:46, and OB and I started talking the show. We started promptly at 8 a.m.
Okay. What I was talking about was A&M football.
Oh,
schedule.
my bad. Sorry.
I think you have to agree they had the weakest schedule in the league. Do you not?
No.
I don't know. No, I don't.
The weakest schedule in the league? We can actually look up the statistics. Amazingly, Wayne, we can look it up and tell you exactly who had the weakest schedule in the league. We can. There's actual statistical information on that.
I can give you their thing. They have 7 wins
Just cut this guy off.
Hey,
just cut him off.
Wayne,
just cut him off.
No, I want to talk to. Hey, Wayne, do me a favor. You ready?
Let me finish.
Oh, man. Why would you do that, Obi? I was trying to listen to Wayne's thoughtful thoughts. By the way, do you have the strength of...
I'm looking for it.
And we have strength of record, too.
They played Notre Dame. Now, he means...
I think he means the bottom half of the SEC schedule.
Again, my point has always been, yeah, you might have teams that are lower in the standings. Okay, I get that. But in the SEC, again, I would say, look at Texas. Yeah. A&M played Florida, team that beat Texas. They're 3 and whatever. Well, but they beat Texas. So it's not like, just... Well, and again, was quite frankly, Florida was a yard away from beating Georgia.
By the way, we can go back to last year where the same things were being said about Texas's schedule. And to their credit, they beat A&M. They came close to beating Georgia, but they lost. And they won a couple playoff games. So to their credit, they were able to navigate through that. So hopefully A&M is afforded the same opportunities, and hopefully A&M takes advantage of those opportunities.
A&M will be afforded the same opportunities, and we'll see what A&M does moving forward. I just don't see the reason to let some guy who's assume a Texas fan come on TexAgs and again try to disparage what A&M has accomplished in an 11-1 year.
Right. Well, he's not on the phone. Yeah. He's off. Randall, we're going to try. I don't know if line 2 ever works, but we're going to try. Randall, welcome to TexAgs Live. How are you this morning?
Good. Welcome, class of 01, long-time listener, several-time caller. Just wanted to say, yeah, I wish you'd all to beat Texas, but I'm excited about the home field. I'm a season ticket holder. I want to push that you guys let the athletic department know they need to create commemorative paper ticket that we can get after the game of our first A&M home playoff game. So I want to be able to frame it and put it on the wall.
That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, he's gone. That was a good idea.
Again, the most important thing is there is going to be a game.
Yeah, there is a
Come
game.
back and win that one and then win the next one.
Obi, what is your turning point of the game?
To me, it's Trey Wisner going 48 yards.
That's what I have in mind. I have a second one too, but yeah, that's the one I have.
Now, I could say, and you can make this argument, the fact that A&M went 3 and out on their first series of the second half, because that started the first indication that things were going bad. But the Wisner run was the first the first 48 steps in Texas dominating the second half.
Yeah. I have that as mine, but I also have, and this one has nothing to do with the actual performance on the field, but there was a stat that came up during halftime about Elko's 15-0 record when leading at the half. And what was Sark's? I have it here, 4-11 when trailing at the half. Right? That stat came up. Somebody from the TexAgs staff sent it to me. I think I shared it with you. It was on the big TV. I sent it to my brother and his wife. I sent it to Bill. Like, hey, and from that point, because what was the recipe all season long? A&M would make adjustments in the second half and be the better team in the fourth quarter. That was the exact opposite of what happened at DKR.
Yeah, statistics. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics, and that was one of the damn lies.
Yeah.
I covered, way before they had playoffs. So I covered a Texas team that annihilated Colorado 28-0 in Boulder, and then later that year played Colorado for the Big 12 championship and got beat. So my point is, once again, that's another example of how you can lose a game and still turn around and come back from it. And it's incredulous to me why they're just not. I'm not even saying the majority of Aggies out there, because I know that's not true, but it's incredulous to me how even some just start hoisting the white flag after one loss. I mean, how many examples do you need of teams that have lost? A&M in 2012 loses to Florida. 6 weeks later, they lose to LSU. And, season's over, right? No, they go out and run the table from there and beat Alabama and Oklahoma.
Yeah. Look, there are a lot of things that they're going to work on, I believe. And they're going to have an opportunity if they are, I think they'll probably be 6, OB, if I were a guessing man.
Okay.
And they'll have an opportunity against a team that if they're 5 or 6, I think they'll be, if not heavily favored enough to feel good about the matchup. But that doesn't mean anything. We just learned A&M was favored to go to Austin and win by 2.5. But I think the path is just going to be a little bit longer. And if they can correct some of those things, if Le'Veon Moss, is healthy, if Scooby's healthy, I think it makes a big difference, especially offensively on the short yardage situation.
You do have a great chance to get healthier. But I think what they've got to do is, I think so much of it's just really within their own power of matching your opponent's sense of urgency.
Yeah.
They didn't do that in the first half against South Carolina, and then they went out and played great. And like we talked about at the game and earlier today, when they got down into the red zone and got yet another false start, and then had the field goal blocked, right there, just when that happened, I just had this really bad feeling. And we talked about it right up there that this is how you lose games like this. And then they get the ball again and drive right down the field again and get a false start on 3rd down and have to kick a field goal and say, you twice inside the red zone, you got 3 points out of it. So we talk about where it got away from in the second half, and it absolutely did. But you had a great opportunity to go into halftime with an even bigger lead, and you didn't.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things wrinkles that you got to iron out in the next 3 weeks.
All right, let's continue on the Buppies. There's a lot of callers this morning.
Yeah.
And actually, I think I can't, I don't know if they're Texas fans or if they're Alabama fans or A&M fans, but Mike wants to talk about a great season so far. Mike, welcome to TexAgs.
Howdy, guys. I just want to say y'all always bring good energy and big fan of TexAgs. And I have to agree with both of y'all and really OB because it's been a good season. Yeah, we lost to Texas, but I honestly think that might be a good thing for these boys because it's like, hey, it's the one game you can lose. Can't lose in the playoffs, but you might as well take this one on the chin and show everybody what we really were about.
I think what you can do is you can try to turn a negative into a positive. Look, there's nothing good about losing to Texas, but what you can do, and I know that you're not saying that, but what you can do is you can take all that negative energy and use that to fuel you moving forward.
Correct.
And hopefully they will. I mean, I think Marcel said, look, maybe it's Marcel, maybe it's Torian said something along the lines of, we know how bad we feel right now. Never forget what this feels like.
Yep.
So don't put yourself in that position. Look, it's one thing. I think one part of the frustration for a lot of Aggies is it's one thing if you go out there and play a good game and the other team, was just better than you that night or got a break or whatever. But when you go out and you feel like that you got beat, but you feel like you didn't see a reasonable facsimile of the team you saw all year.
Right.
And that's why you get frustrated.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, I appreciate the call, bud. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, I hit it too quick. What I'm going to say about that is, look, I think coaches and talk show hosts, sometimes we say that line, and I think it can be true. I'm not saying it's not true, because we were kind of saying it after the South Carolina game. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. We won't know till later.
Right.
Like, you got to go, I like undefeated teams too, by the way. Undefeated teams find ways to win games, right? And I'm not saying that, you've brought up many times the Ohio State example. Look.
Remember crying Tim Tebow?
I do.
His speech is now in a monument in front of that stadium. When they lost Ole Miss and he was crying, and he talked about
this will never happen again.
You know why it's you know why that speech is in a monument?
Why?
Because they didn't lose again.
Right.
Take all the criticism, all the people that are saying that you're only won because you didn't play tough teams or that anything, and work harder to fix these issues, match a sense of urgency, and be physical, be who you were for 11 games, beat whoever you are, and then advance, and then beat that team too.
All right, let's go to the puppies. This is a freaking call. I feel like we're the old Rush Limbaugh show. Yeah. Brandon on the Puppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Brandon, welcome to TexAgs.
Come on, Brandon.
Line two.
Brandon?
Is that your name?
Whoever we're talking to, you're up. If you hear my voice, you're up.
Brandon.
Okay. Hi. Hey, bud.
Hey, this is B-Glow, the same person.
Oh, B-Glow. B-Glow. What up, B-Glow?
So with the game on Friday, two things. So defensively, the thing that they attacked is the same thing that everybody attacks against us. They put three receivers wide, and by doing that, we put our three technique, which is the D tackle over the guard, weak, and we bump the linebackers wide. So we have a D tackle over the B gap, we have a defensive end over the C gap, and the only other thing that we have behind that is Ratcliffe from 10 yards deep. So when they say misfits, that's what they mean. When the front doesn't hold their gap, the only other secondary defender that we have behind it is a safety coming from 10 yards deep. That's hard. That's hard ask of Ratcliffe every single time. And every team that we've played that has had success against us running has attacked that. Everybody's going to attack that in the playoffs. You're going to see more of it unless we make an adjustment. Offensively, in the second half, we ran 0 RPO. And that doesn't mean zone read. It can be zone read, power read, midline read, jet read. It can be all sorts of things. By not doing that, we're not forcing them to commit a defender for the read. And when you don't make them force them to commit a defender to the read, they have an extra defender to defend the pass and be a box defender that can be aggressive. Those two things were the two things that they did. They did a great job of it on both sides of the ball. And basically, that's what they attacked. Hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, we come up with a way on defense to adjust to it. There's a couple ways they could to adjust to it with Scooby coming back. Offensively, we're an RPO offense. That is the basis of what we do. I've watched the Colin Klein clinic video before. That's the basis of what he does, and we didn't do it. So when you don't do what you are on offense, you're playing with your hand tied behind your back. And that was the most frustrating thing to watch on offense. Defensively, there's a lot of things they can do, and hopefully we come up with something. But all year, last year and this year, every time we get put in that set, that's how we adjust. And I think it's going to show up again unless we come up with some other way to adjust to it.
Hey, B-Glow, by the way, B-Glow's the coach. He obviously, you can tell from the way he talks. And he came by the studio with his son a couple weeks ago. There's a tweet out there talking about that the offensive line and defensive line really weren't that bad. Do you agree with that from a coaching perspective?
Yes. I don't think the defensive line was that bad. Again, when you run a 4-2-5, you're playing with only 6 in the box. You're one short. And if you're one short in the box, and especially if the only other help that you have is a safety who's a third level, that's going to create bubbles. And those bubbles are going to turn in, even if you play it really well and the D-line just doesn't hold their leverage perfectly, that's going to turn into 6-7 yards, regardless.
What about the offensive line?
The defensive line did as well as you can ask them to do against great players, too. It's good on good. It's big on big. It's one-on-one. My thing is, we don't have anybody else there to help clean it up. And that's the issue is we're out-leveraged in those situations.
B-Glow, I appreciate you calling, buddy. I'll get to your message here soon, all right, bud?
No problem. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. B-Glow sends me some coaching analysis on Instagram, and it's really good, so I appreciate that. Let's take one more caller before we hit a break, OB. Danny wants to talk a little Mike Elko here on TexAgs. Danny, welcome to TexAgs.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
One of the things that is bothering me, and look, I'm not one of these guys that's writing off the season because we lost that game. I will say that game stings for obvious reason. But what concerns me is Klein and Elko both seem to just have vapor lock when it comes to playing Sark. I think Klein is something like 1-7 or 0-8 or something against Texas in general, going back to his K-State days as a coach. And then Elko obviously never beat Sark when he was at Alabama, and he hasn't beat him while he's at TU. I'm not saying Elko's not the guy either, but just looking forward, we saw a completely different coach and team on Friday. And I don't know if they just freeze up when they see that logo. I don't know if Sark just becomes a genius when he coaches against Elko. I don't know what's going on, but it does give me some concern for the future. And I just, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it was pretty noticeable to me. 2 years in a row that I feel like Sark has just kind of had his way with Elko when we had a lot riding on the game. SEC championship game appearances, and we just couldn't get it done. And that's eating at me, guys.
Danny, appreciate the call, man. Thanks very much.
Danny, I believe that, and I don't want to sound like a Mike Elko apologist because I'm not. I do think he's a heck of a football coach. I do think that in all those instances up until last night, he's probably coached against the better team.
Yeah,
those Alabama teams were better than that Sark was on, especially 2020 was just better than A&M. And last year's Texas team was just better than A&M. And that's the frustrating thing is this year, Texas is not better than A&M. They were better than A&M that night. And probably for a lot of reasons that Bigelow pointed out.
Yeah.
As far as Colin Klein goes, I didn't like a lot of the play calls, but once again, how many times at Kansas State did he have better personnel than Texas has with Sark?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I agree with you on more talent last year. This year, I think the talent was comparable.
Yeah, I think A&M has more.
But
it's very comparable. Yeah.
Comparable. But the bottom line is they're 0-2 against them. Mm-hmm. They got to fix it next year. They do.
No, they got to.
They got to fix it this year, right now,
fix it,
and then fix it next year.
And again, you fix it and win and go on a successful run through the playoffs and win multiple games, and that Texas loss won't really matter. Won't matter to me anyway.
Yeah. OP,
won't matter to some.
Thank you for sticking around a little bit longer. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back, I think we're going to have Billy Liucci on the program. Right now, when it comes to preserving your farm or your ranch's legacy, it's not about capturing pretty pictures. It's not about putting it on Facebook memories. It's about actually having the tangible stories for the future generations. Heritage Films does an amazing job of telling people's stories. They do a great job at telling family ranches stories and family business stories. They're just storytellers, and they do it in documentary form. And these documentaries are like the ones you see on TV, on streaming, on HBO, you name it. They're amazing at telling these stories, and they want to tell your family's story. Chance McClain and his team, they are the best when it comes to just crafting this incredible storytelling. And you may not think there's a story there. There's always a story there, and Chance will find it for you. You send him the pictures, you send him some videos, he'll set up the lighting, he'll bring his camera crew there, and it'll be an amazing experience, very therapeutic experience. Go to yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. We are back here on TexAgs Live, just a bunch of happy Aggies. Here's hour number 2. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese, there was that caller who said that OB forced me to hang up on. Kidding. That talked about A&M's terrible schedule. You have actually the numbers.
Yeah, he claimed that A&M had the weakest schedule in the SEC, and that is wrong. While A&M is in the bottom half of the SEC, they are 11th. Their strength of schedule is 15th in the country. Ole Miss is actually in last, 40th in the country. Teams below A&M, Vanderbilt, who is 22nd, Missouri, who's 23rd, Georgia, who's 25th, and Tennessee, who's 31st. Now, in terms of strength of record, Texas A&M...
Which, can you explain strength of record?
I don't fully know.
I don't think anybody does. That's why I asked.
Yeah, no, I can't. I think it's like who you've beat and then how your record indicates.
Seems like it's comparable to like net in basketball, but anyways.
But remember, net you had to like Google right before March Madness, just you think you understood, and you're like, hold on, let me just double check that information.
Net's one of those things they bring up on Selection Sunday that a majority of people then immediately hop and do a Google search. A&M's strength of record is tops in the SEC and third in the country behind the only 2 undefeated teams, Ohio State and Indiana.
Good stuff there, Reese Nygren. And actually, you know what? While Billy sets up his mic, why don't we read a text or two?
Okay, we'll try and find... David and Franklin said, if the Aggies can get a game at home and win that game and at least one more, then we will feel much better about what we experienced on Friday. I hope they can win 4 in a row, but at least 2 more wins will be a good feeling.
By the way, 11-1 going to the playoffs is a great feeling. Yeah. You couldn't beat Auburn last year, guys, right? Like, you couldn't win some of these easy cupcake games last year. You finished November losing all your games, all your Power 4 games, your SEC games, right? Hey, Billy, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. What are they? Everybody crying this morning?
Yeah, just people mad, thinking I
don't blame being mad about it, but what? Like, what's
just that they don't believe your boy David Edmonds. Like this, I thought I'd be excited, but I'm not excited about the playoffs at all.
Stop watching, Dave. Shit. Sorry.
Oh, dump button.
No.
Dump button.
Stop watching, man. Like seriously, if you can't get excited about this team because of that one game, like. Just stop. It's not for you. Like, this is what you've been waiting for all this time. I get it. I'm pissed about losing to them for the second year in a row. And most importantly, any singular team that for 2 years in a row has kept you out of the SEC title game, that in and of itself, and forget about the history and our feelings towards losing to your rival and stuff. I get it. But to actually go into the tank to the point that you can't be excited about an 11-1 football team, which is, as far as I can tell, it's the best record. And you can talk. Sorry, we're dropping everything here. You can talk all you want about schedule strength and yada yada. I mean, what this team ran through versus what previous A&M unbeaten teams have run through, it's you can't even compare it. You just cannot. I was here as a freshman when they went undefeated in the regular season. They probably played one ranked team all year. And that was in the Southwest Conference. Now, that was unfortunate for those guys because they were a great team. They were playing as good a defense as anyone in college football would play. They had one of the best running games in the sport. But you didn't play anyone. The sport was not how it is today. So this is the finest regular season I've ever witnessed for A&M, probably most anyone listening. And if a loss to Texas does that to you, then you are, I'd rather go 1-11 guy. I'd rather go 1-11 and beat Texas guy. And that person to me is a loser every day of the week. Not you, Dave and Edmond, although you're acting like one right now. But every day of the week. I hope you didn't misrepresent what he said because I'm all over him here. But in general, Dave and Edmond, because I know he's pretty sensitive up there. In general, if you want to just be still pissed about the game, hell yeah. I might be pissed about it for 365 here.
He says, you totally missed a joke.
Way to go, Nuño.
Wait, he goes, I'm completely
Sorry,
joking.
Dave.
But hold on, Nygren. He represents a huge faction of people who've been texting the show and messaging today, correct?
Okay. Yeah. If that's the theme.
Yeah, so David Edmond, you're back in the circle of trust.
Well, and you're out. And
finally,
you're out.
I'm good.
You've never been in, honestly.
Yeah,
That's
let's
why
be
you didn't
honest.
come to the. That's why I told you yesterday. You're not invited.
I don't invite you to go run with me in the morning.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I already won the day.
So, my thing though is if you're gonna if you're gonna be that type of fan that can, if you're 1-11 but beat Texas guy, this ain't for you. Like this has been a pretty amazing season, and here's the thing: it's not over. It's not over.
But what people say to that is, Billy, well, we've been exposed for who we really are.
So they just don't think we can win. I had breakfast yesterday with a club-footed buddy of mine.
He's club-footed?
Well, he just
Walks weird?
He's the club foot.
Okay.
But that's not the right word. I'm just picking on him. But had breakfast with them, and he's sitting at the table just, maybe, and he was serious, maybe Tulane, but I don't see another team in the playoff we can beat. And I'm like, dude, that's the most idiotic, ignoramus thing I've ever heard, ever. And if one loss to your rival, who by the way, I really don't think they're that great, and I don't think they should be in the playoffs. I think they could beat some teams in the playoffs, and they could lose to some, but that's a handful of teams that are going to miss it. But to go lose to a top 15 team on the road for your first loss, you're 3-1 against ranked teams on the road this year, and to let that spiral your thinking into, and I told him, I said, that's what's wrong with something. He was like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. To let that spiral your thinking into just giving up and honestly believing there's only one team in a 12-team playoff that A&M can beat, when they've already beaten one of them.
But you would lose to them now.
Yeah,
I got that today.
That's fine. If that's what you think, that's fine. Like, what do you think A&M's record would have been on Notre Dame's schedule the rest of the way?
11-1.
Why not
12-0? Yeah,
I'm saying from you take out A&M, I think they're 11. I mean, Miami and USC would have been competitive games, and that's exactly what happened with Notre Dame.
Yeah,
they lost 1, won 1. Both were competitive. What has Notre Dame done? They look really good. What would other teams look like?
Yeah, but we scheduled Ohio State. We're being penalized for going to get a real team.
Two things. When you scheduled Ohio State, they weren't the national champs, the defending national champs. You knew you were scheduling a big-time power program years ago when you did that. You felt very confident they'd be great. You also felt confident Michigan would be great, and they were 6-6 last year when you beat them, maybe 7-5. When A&M scheduled Notre Dame, it was the exact same thing. So this year, as it turns out, Notre Dame's going to probably be ranked in the final, or this week's poll, maybe 8?
Yep.
And Ohio State's 1. Big difference. Whatever, big deal. Go beat them. If you'd beat Ohio State, and by the way, that loss, I do agree with Texas fans, though, I think the loss is held against you too much in some instances. So if BYU's 12-1, there would be no world that a 9-3 Texas would ever get in over them. And there's some kind of foreign math that I don't know about that's trying to tell me that BYU has looked like a better football team than Texas this year. And I'm sorry, and I don't think Texas should be in because they went and they lost. You can't lose your third game. You could have lost your second game to a 3-8 team and still been in the playoffs. That's Alabama. You couldn't lose your or I guess they're 4-8. Florida, right? Did they beat Florida State this weekend?
They destroyed them, right?
Yeah, I was not paying attention. I looked up at the score and said, "Holy cow!" But so you lost to a four-win team for your third loss. If you'd have lost to a 4-win team for your second, that's essentially Alabama. You'd be in the playoffs. So just don't lose to a 4-8 team as your third loss. But with that said, there's just no world in which you could look and say, BYU, if they went 12-1 and beat Tech, and there's metrics that will tell you that BYU's resume is better. And I'm like, my God, would BYU be They might be 6-6 on Texas' schedule. They really might be. They probably lose to A&M. They certainly lose to Ohio State. And then they lose to Georgia.
Vandy.
And then you've got Vandy. You've got at Mississippi State. You've got Arkansas. You've got at Kentucky. You've got a couple cupcakes in there. Who am I forgetting that Texas played in the SEC? But yeah, I mean, I think on that schedule, Florida at the Swamp. I think BYU would be like 7-5. And you put Texas on BYU's schedule and tell me they would. So there's no way to like sit there and do that. So that is why you do have to have an expanded playoff. You know, because you've got to get certain teams in, and it's fine.
Expanded from where we are right now?
No, I mean to 12. I don't want any more. But you know, that way these teams do get exposed when these playoffs start, and maybe over time, the committee will start going, all right, like we don't feel bad for these teams. Like, in other words, when it's an at-large, like if Texas Tech lost to BYU and was sitting at 11-2, they're going to be in. They passed the eye test, but let's just say they were a little less impressive, and they're on the back end there. Yeah, put a 3-loss SEC team in ahead of a 2-loss Big 12 team. It really isn't a rule that, well, they lost their conference title game. Who'd they beat? Well, they beat BYU. Who'd BYU beat? Well, they beat, like, the whole thing to me, it's like they don't dive deep enough. Like, I don't think A&M gets any credit anymore outside of, like, any type of computer stuff. But this committee of buffoons sits in there and, well, LSU ended up 7-5, and they fired their coach. So I therefore don't think they should be in there. 6-7. Like, is that what's going on? I made another 6-7 joke, and I just hired a coach that my fans are revolting on me for. Is that what they're doing in that damn room? Because it's what it feels like. What were we talking about? Oh, it was just A&M's win over LSU. Oh, never mind. 6-7. Like, it really, like, I think that's what they do. And so they don't dive deep enough, like, I don't think. I really don't believe it, because I see these buffoons that they put in front of the camera to answer questions and stuff. So it doesn't tell me, doesn't instill or inspire confidence that they're sitting in the room doing like these really in-depth, intelligent, deep dives. And like, so say A&M's win over LSU. Well, they lost. They fired Brian Kelly. They ended up 7-5. Okay. Well, since they played A&M, Alabama at home and Oklahoma at home have scored a combined, 33 points on them. A&M went on the road in Baton Rouge and put up 49. So, and we're just going to poo-poo that. And that was without that last game where they took those. By the way, these are two playoff teams I'm talking about playing at home. And they took OU to the absolute wire with their backup quarterback. But I've been told that that's not a good win by everybody. And I think the committee kind of has that same mindset to it, which is insane to me.
All right, we're a little late for a break. Like 12 minutes.
Oh, that's
a little late.
You know, if your people would call me less than 76 times, one is enough.
All right,
one is, I'm just saying.
Sometimes you just press ignore. Dump button, Liucci. If
you get it. Shows here.
If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during their marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking about Aggie Rain Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, the gathering. They welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. And they offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. And this includes title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. And as a reminder, they are not open on Mondays. And Coach Pat Henry enters the chat. Defending national champions track and field team begins its season with their first home meet this Saturday. Abbreviated schedule. Field events begin at 2 o'clock. Running events at 4 o'clock. That is Coach Henry.
What was that thing, Coach Henry? Sorry, that thing, Coach Henry enters the chat. Did you make that up, or is that something that they sent you?
What is it going to depend how you attack me on it? I made that up.
Okay, good.
Why? Did you find it?
It was wild.
Well, he texts me sometimes and gives me updates.
It's funny, like, oh, he actually did send that?
Yeah, he sent it to me.
I thought you just
No, you
used
thought I
that
just
phrasing.
randomly said that? No, he texted me
I
this
thought
morning.
you were promoting it, but your style of promoting it was to go, like, their season's beginning, Pat Henry enters the chat.
No,
you know, like, I didn't know that he actually sent you.
I'm cheesy, but I'm not that cheesy.
Yeah, that's why I made that face.
Sorry.
I was like, wow, that even for
Pat
you.
Henry texted me directly, my dear friend, Coach Henry.
Well, y'all are.
Yeah,
Y'all are.
that's my guy. I look forward to doing our weekly
I do
hits.
too. I like listening to him.
Yeah. And remember in the beginning when
you would just whisper everything? Okay.
Coach, how do you feel? I feel great.
Wonderful. It was hard to.
It was great.
Y'all needed to get the volume up.
Billy, look, I'm kind of tentative to bring up topics because we are so off the clock that we're supposed to be hitting a break now, but I want to give our audience something.
Okay.
So I'm just going to set it up, and we'll take it from there. I'll try to shut you off in 2 minutes.
Okay, and then we can come back to it if we'd like.
Yeah,
It's
there we
crazy
go.
how
But then that
works.
next time is also going to be short because
But then we also have
a whole
we
hour.
can keep going.
Yeah, we have a whole hour.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah. So to me, the second half, the whole story was supposed to be reversed. Okay.
Yeah.
The story was supposed to be that A&M was the more physically dominant team. Bigelow called in and said it wasn't necessarily Bigelow, Coach Bigelow. You met him. He had his son here during one of our shows. Yeah. It's great. But anyway, my point was it wasn't as. I think we've seen A&M be more physically dominant before, but this particular instance, it felt like Texas was the more physically dominant team in that game. The story was supposed to be reversed, though. Overall, A&M was supposed to win the second half. They were supposed to dominate the fourth quarter. They were supposed to go to Austin and finish the season.
You know why
12-0.
they were supposed to? Because it's what they have done.
Right.
It's set up, and again, it's like it's credit to Texas, and then at the same time, like I think a lot of Texas fans, they like when I give them credit where it's due, and I do, but then they'll immediately get upset by this and forget the compliment, which I'm not in the business of batting 1,000 with them or anyone, but the reality is, over the course of the season, Texas A&M has been the better football team.
Yep.
Just comparative results generally. You can just watch the momentum with which they played, the way they dispose of opponents, not letting bad teams hang around with a couple of, really one exception in Arkansas, and then the other was falling way behind. But they've just been a better football team all year. And that's factual. They've lived in the top 5 all season for a reason. It wasn't just, because they didn't play, they only played the bottom of the SEC. If you're watching this team and don't truly believe, like watching them all year, not just Friday night, that team would win more than their fair share against the upper shelf of the SEC, then you're just purposely trying to not give credit to the type of football you watch. And even the other night, as Texas pulled away in the second half, it's an A&M team that cut it to 20 to 17 with plenty of time left. They did some things that they just don't normally do. You give them a 15-yard penalty to give them the ball back out at the 40. I mean, when what was it? You're up at halftime 10-3. You cut it to 20 to 17 with 9 minutes left. Like even kind of, I think, honestly, I don't want to say at their worst because Texas did a lot to make them play that way. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it is condescending and belittling. It's like something that we accuse them of doing to say, well, we were at our worst. But A&M certainly wasn't doing a lot of the things that they have done all year to get to that point. Part of that had to do with how Texas was playing. The other part had to do with how A&M was playing, which part of that I attribute to that crowd. And I think for the first time this year, I saw them get a little out of sorts, and on top, it's a double thing too. Texas is feeding off of it, and A&M is feeling the heat of it. So it ends up being it's life in the SEC at night. Yeah. You can't give them that opportunity. But A&M have been the better team all year. They have, and they still are, by the way. Now, if they played again, I'm not sitting here going, well, A&M would beat them again for sure. They beat them every time. But I am saying, I still believe, even after that game, that Texas A&M is a better team. And I think the rankings will show it. I think people outside of A&M would know it. But they had them exactly where they wanted them at 10-3 because over the course of the season, you watched A&M pull away and just kind of take the life out of the opponent. The script was flipped on Friday, but I would have felt great at halftime because that was an A&M style football game. So you credit Texas for winning a game like that.
We'll be back. Here we go. That was on the air.
Well, I thought so. Nuño says he runs that word together.
Biglow.
B, letter B, and then GLOW.
That's how it's written.
Is his coaching buddy.
Yeah.
Biglow. But he goes, Biglow, Coach Biglow. And I thought the whole time when I go, oh, did we know him? I don't know who are you citing here, Biglow? I thought it was like a one-name Brazilian, like
Jiu-jitsu
MMA
star. Yeah.
jiu-jitsu coach. His coach. Oh, it's Coach Biglow. Biglow. Like, yeah, I know who you were talking about now.
Yeah, he's great. All right. Well, this is a fake segment, and I'm not going to allow you to talk because we'll never hit the break on time. So there you go, Biglow. You get a whole segment dedicated to you. When we come back on TexAgs Live, a whole hour of Billy. We'll chit-chat about the game, looking ahead. We'll get to your text messages, maybe even a phone call or two. Thanks so much for listening to hour number 2 of TexAgs. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We'll be back in a few. And we're back. I want to talk to you about real peace of mind when it comes to your financial future. Check out Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors, independent fiduciaries serving clients all across Texas. No sales pitches, no commissions, just honest financial planning and investment. And what really sets them apart is the 9 CFPs, the CFA, the CPA, all on staff. They take their credentials seriously, and they work tirelessly to help you build a future that you can feel good about. Go to paragon-adv.com or give them a call, 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust, Paragon Financial Advisors. Billy, if I'm looking at these numbers correctly, A&M had one play over 20 yards.
Which is
well, I don't look up stats anymore. I have other people do that.
That's a big if, but yes.
I have a staff. My sister-in-law, Tiffany, listened to that segment and couldn't stop laughing. She thought it was great. But A&M had one play over 20 yards. Am I right about that? Yeah, I am. And Texas had over 6 in a game of big plays.
Yeah.
And I'm used to A&M having the big plays, right?
Yeah.
The yak. Not a lot of yak.
They didn't, and that was my big complaint offensively, and I don't know if it had to, was Colin Klein calling a game that felt too conservative? Did that have to do, was Marcel tentative to cut loose down the field? Was he not seeing guys that he felt were open enough to throw it to? Because Texas, I do think they narrowed down the windows, and was the O-line not playing well enough? And I think it was probably a combination of the three on that. I think A&M, it never really felt like they were truly in like attack mode. By the way, Ruben Owens' block on Concepcion touchdown was incredible. Ruben wasn't on. I mean, he kept falling down. I don't understand that.
He just seemed off balance, facing forward.
I don't know if it was he runs like that a little bit anyway, but it hadn't been to that pronounced. I don't know if that was him compensating from the injuries because he was coming back. He hadn't played, since South Carolina, or if it was the turf or what it was. But for them to run, they had how many 6 plays like that? I can tell you right now, 3 of them should have never happened in a million years. One of them was Arch's touchdown run, which I thought was, like I said yesterday, it was a great call. It caught A&M in the perfect defense.
Mm-hmm.
I still say I wonder would they have done that on 3rd and 8. You jump off sides to give them a 3rd and 3. But Wingo's touchdown, Andrews' long catch and run, those were complete busts. That was not. And again, when I say this, I wish Texas would have had complete busts that A&M exploited. It's not but those factually were complete busts in coverage, where you just let a guy run uncovered, and it wasn't schemed up some brilliant way. It was just they probably wanted those guys to be matched up 1-on-1 and win. Instead, they were matched up 1-on-0, and so 2 of those should have never happened. And then the first long run by Wisner, you can specifically see where on Yedem, he just gets his head in the wrong gap. Should have been one way. He cheats the other way, and it opens up a gaping hole where if you have your head in that gap, it's no gain. Instead, it's a 50-yard run that gets the whole crowd. So half of those big plays just should have never happened, and they led directly to 17 points. Wisner's run led to a field goal, and then you had the 2 touchdowns. And Andrews, you scored on the first play of the 3rd quarter or 4th quarter, but really 17 third quarter points coming off 3 plays that honestly should have never happened. And that doesn't mean that Texas couldn't have driven down the field, but those plays you want back if you're A&M.
Yeah.
You really do, because you go, what were we doing? And again, that's where I say it didn't feel like they were playing the same game that we've seen all year. And part of that credit goes to Texas. The other part of that goes to, were the Aggies pressing too much in this one? Did they want it too bad and came out of that mode where they just kind of went out, played football, did their thing, and believed it was going to work every week? I feel like they went into that one maybe with a little too much to prove in their own minds. And Texas was not playing that way. Texas was playing loose. Even when they were down, they kind of, they didn't ever seem like they were not out there just kind of playing football, having fun, and believing they could win.
Andrews had 2 explosive. Weisner had 2 explosives. Wingo had 1. Manning had 1. So that's where the 6 came from.
Yeah, and I don't know the second Andrews one or the.
And Parker Livingston had a 19, which it doesn't qualify as an explosive.
I don't know the second Andrews. I know the 2. One of them he was completely uncovered. Weisner's other long run, I haven't really watched to see if there's just a blatant misfit there like there was in the first one.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, talking about they had the game that I thought A&M would have. You were in position. Like, first off, the amount of punts in the third quarter, I had the number here. Let's see. A&M, 5 trips to the red zone, 17 points. 4 straight punts to start the second half, including 3 3-and-outs, 38 total yards in that third quarter. I would have never, the way the game was being played, and then you look at what Texas was able to do offensively in that quarter, and really the second half. I would have never guessed that based on what we saw in the first half.
No, not at all. And look, I thought when again, the way that game was going, A&M had it kind of right where they wanted it. But the offense never, they got going there on that touchdown drive when they're kind of tempo and hurt. But, like, I almost feel like if you'd have gone to that quicker, and it's hard to do, and that's what they did in that whole second half against South Carolina. But it just felt like in that game that was more a style that was going to work for A&M. But why would you do that earlier when you're up 10-3 at the half and getting the ball? I thought there was a play in the third quarter that it was that deep shot to Concepcion on 3rd and 2 that really, I say it bothered me, but they win games like that this year. They throw it up, let 7 or 1 or 3 adjust, make a catch, but that's a low percent when you need to get from me to you, and you throw it 45 yards down the field. I would have done that. So here's the situation here. Texas had just scored. A&M gets the ball. I would have done that maybe on 2nd and 6. You run for 4 yards on first down. You go play action maybe and take that deep shot there. Go for the home run. It was 3rd and 2. Texas had just driven down and scored to make it 10-6. Crowd was in it. You really could have used a couple first downs on that drive, then maybe take the shot. On 3rd and 2, they throw that deep ball, and that was tough. Like, that was one, because then you punt and they get the ball back and they go down and take the lead. I just felt like in that moment, momentum was happening. I would have liked to have seen them get your best play, get the 2 yards, get that first down, and then later, at different points in the game, you had a guy jump false start on, what was that, early in the game, Reese? We had a false start that, I think it was when you kicked the field goal, wasn't it? There was a false start on, they were going to go for it on a 4th down.
Yeah.
And that took them out of going for it. And then there was another time when they were going to go for it, and people assumed they were taking the delay of game. They were not. By the way, that would have been a stupid area to give up 5 yards for no reason. They, especially with Niblett back there, they were going for it, and they didn't get the play off. Like, it was taking too long for everybody. I think it looked like the play went in plenty of time. They sat there trying to decipher, and I don't know if noise factored in, but yeah, so that was tough right there as well.
Yeah.
You gave up opportunities, short yardage again. One time you opt for a deep ball. A couple other times you get penalties, take you out of going for it. Those are massive, costly plays in football games, and that's how it went.
If you were to try to encapsulate where the issues A&M has had, not just in Texas at the Texas game, but throughout the season, inopportune penalties, right? Which is every team, but A&M had a lot of them this year. Special team blunders and misfits, if you want to call it that, giving up big runs. Those are the. Am I missing one? Those are the 3 big ones.
I think the misfits are the biggest thing lately. Early in the year, it was the penalties, and I know I just mentioned a couple of costly ones, but I think the misrun fits. giving up gash plays in the running game has been the most consistent weakness. That and the kicking game, it's gone from, hey, is this going to be an issue, to pitiful, pitiful, like no excuse for it. We don't like, and on that one, I don't understand what's going on in the kicking game. I don't at all. For it to get this bad, it's look, when they lose in the playoff, if they don't win a national title, whether that's in the national championship game or the first round, it's going to be, in my opinion, because of getting gashed in the running game, and whether that's it's just these 3 plays that went for 120 and set up 2 touchdowns, or the kicking game, or both. And both of them really hurt. Like, look, you make a simple field goal and don't get it blocked where like 6 people would have blocked it and the kick wasn't going to be good anyway. When you score to make it 2017, it's a tie game, just off that. Or you're up 13-3 at the half and you're up by more than a score. Or when they go up, when it's, like I said, when it's 2017, it's 20-20. When Arch Manning runs in and scores, you're still only down a touchdown to go tie it. It was a huge 3 points that just loomed over there. If you're up 13-3 at the half, you get the ball, go down and score, you might put those guys away and completely take away that crowd that I talked about. So I thought that was a really significant missed field goal there for sure.
Let's I know we did a little bit of it on Luchador. We haven't done it on this show. Let's kind of go through some of the scenarios from a playoff seeding standpoint, Billy, because as of right now, by the way, a lot of things are going to change over the next week, right? So I fully expect an SEC team to be 1 or 2, probably 2, when the actual selection show happens a week from today or tomorrow, a week from whenever they do it, Tuesday, right? A week from tomorrow. But how do you see things playing out based on A&M can't do anything to change their resume? This is who they are. You're going to have Georgia and Bama play. So one of those teams will either have their second or third loss. Texas Tech, they're a TBD. Ole Miss may get penalized for the Lane Kiffin situation. They probably will, right? Notre Dame, they're done. They're probably sticking where they're at. Oklahoma sticking where they're at. And then you got to figure out what happens in the ACC championship that the 6th seed would take on.
I think, or that a second G5 team gets in over James Madison. Sorry. I come in. I'm on the show, not feeling good. So
I didn't know that. You're not
call in sick, but
no, I prefer you be on the show.
This weather. So look at it like this: you've got Ohio. Let's just say Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, Indiana 3. Now, I think that's how that would go, or vice versa. If Indiana beats Ohio State, I think Ohio State would still drop to 3 behind if Georgia won. So then it gets interesting. I think they're going to be stupid and put Texas Tech in.
I agree with you.
I think that's completely dumb. It's again, I'm not saying Tech should not be in the playoffs. I'm not saying they can't beat anyone in the playoffs. I just think it's asinine to reward them with 4 when they're going to play the weakest schedule of, again, like, unless the best football in the United States of America is played in the state of freaking Utah. I think they do better. They're better at like plays and things like that than they are gymnastics, than they are football. And I say that as someone that's watched BYU and Utah beat my Aggies over the years. But compared to what these other teams are playing, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I think they're going to be 4. I think 5 is going to be Oregon, which again, Oregon and Tech both passed the eyeball test to me. What in the hell has Oregon done? What in the blue hell has Oregon done this year?
It's their best win, USC? Is that their best win?
Probably.
Yeah.
What's USC? They're barely hanging in the rankings?
Yeah.
Like, that's the best thing. Like, how is Oregon? Because they didn't play anyone. They didn't play in Notre Dame. They didn't play Ohio State. They didn't even play Michigan, right? They played Indiana and got beat at home.
Yeah.
Handily. So that one is, I think, a complete fraud that they're going to do.
But it's about timing sometimes, right? Happen mid-season as
timing? What did they do?
No, I agree
Their
with
loss?
you. But the way I think the committee looks at it is
They're
A&M if A&M loses to Texas mid-season, then I think they look at that
and
loss
that's
differently.
a flaw in the deal because you're allegedly doing season resume, and that's where it gets interesting. Is it A&M or Ole Miss? And I do think they dock Ole Miss if there's any level of competency. I think it would be. I would cry foul. I think it would be absolute BS if they dropped Ole Miss out, which they won't. But I do think it's fair to drop them in a seed because you go, this isn't the same team in this playoff. We're seeding for this playoff. This isn't the same team without this coach. I think that's kind of how it comes up. I think you'll see A&M at 6, but you could see them at 7.
Yep.
Which I think, again, I think the Oregon thing's ridiculous. I honestly, like, if you go by metrics and stuff, they should be 4. They should be ahead of Oregon, Texas Tech, and Ole Miss. Period. You can make a stronger case for me for Ole Miss than you could Oregon and Tech in terms of like where they should be. I think they're going to be 6. They could be 7. And then if they're sitting at 7 and Alabama beats Georgia, then do they go to 8? Because Georgia's not going to fall below A&M even at 2 losses. And again, that begs a whole nother thing. But Bama will jump.
Yep.
So
but with their 2 losses.
Yeah, but an SEC champ.
And then Georgia has 2 losses.
And they'd have 2 wins. I know. Georgia's the one that should take a little bit of a tumble, but they won't. So, I mean, they'll take a little tumble, but they'll fall in front of A&M. So that's your scenario where they could end up at 8. But I don't think so. I think when this dust settles, I think A&M will be sitting at 6.
Is there a scenario?
Maybe 7, but my prediction would be 6. I don't think they do the tumble to 7.
Is there?
Don't even do it.
I'm just thinking about Reese Davis asking him the question about A&M being 6 and Ole Miss being 7, and we get a repeat.
I know. That's why I said when I was saying it, don't even do it.
Is there a scenario where there's not an SEC team in your top 4? Because if Georgia loses, if they lose, right? Because Bama can't go to the top 4.
Probably not.
Does Ole Miss go to the top 4 in that world? I can't imagine a world.
Oregon. Probably Oregon.
So no SEC team?
That would be a joke. Again.
Then the Big Ten would have 3 of the 4 buys.
Yeah.
With Ohio State,
again,
Indiana,
what you would need to do, I think Bama might go up, though. SEC champ beating Georgia because Oregon's not doing anything there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bama actually might make that big, giant leap up there.
Could A&M in that world make that leap? Because, again, they got 1 loss to Bama's 2.
No, I don't think.
And they're right now ahead of Bama.
I don't think Bama would jump them, and I think Georgia wouldn't fall below them. So, in order, I go. I think 6 is my most likely, 7 second, and 5 third.
No world.
7 and 5 is pretty. I'm pretty even on that one, but I think 6 is the most likely. And look, you play.
So no world they're 4 when this is all said and done.
I don't think so.
I don't either. But I think more worthy than Texas Tech.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not going to win that argument because it's a bunch of lunkheads. I think 6. Do you play, Virginia at home, and then you get Indiana? I mean, look, Indiana's good. I've said it all year. And Doza might very well win the Heisman. If he beats Ohio State, he'll probably win the Heisman. Then you won't get him at 3. But if your 6-3 includes Virginia and Indiana, I'm not saying like A&M's so great they can't even lose to Virginia,
right?
Much less Indiana, who's I think really good, should be a top 4 seed. But versus Georgia, playing, say, Alabama or OU, and then Georgia.
Much harder road.
It's playing Georgia. So, and the other thing is, if you won your home game, do you play Indiana at the Cotton Bowl versus Georgia in the Sugar? Like it's a big. I'm not sure Indiana wouldn't beat Georgia in a head-up game. Like, I mean, a lot of teams have given Georgia all they wanted this year. We just get, Texas wasn't one of them, and then but like Georgia Tech gave them all they wanted. Florida gave them all they wanted. Who else? Reese, there's plenty. Oh, obviously Ole Miss.
Tennessee.
Who?
Tennessee gave
Tennessee.
Georgia.
So Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, and Bama. So Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Bama, and who's the other one? Florida. We're almost to half their games. Here's their schedule. I'm looking at
that Auburn game was an interesting one.
Yeah, well, no, Auburn gave them all they wanted. Like
Auburn was
had they not called that fumble properly, had they called the fumble properly, they're down 17-0 against that Auburn defense on the road. So I just named 6 of their 12 games without really putting a whole lot of thought into it, where Georgia was really pushed. So even as I'm saying that, I don't know that Georgia wouldn't. That Indiana wouldn't beat Georgia. But I just think there's still a different level of like, I think these teams that like physicality and run game, Georgia's a tougher matchup for A&M. If you give me Virginia, Indiana in the Cotton Bowl today, and I would say sign me up, let's see what happens. And if you really want to look ahead further, that also puts you in that 2-3 range where the next round, you'd be facing Georgia as opposed to Ohio State, which I think anyone would choose at this point.
Right,
6 could be a sweet spot and gives you an actual real opportunity.
Let's talk about the coaching carousel on the other side, shall we? All right. Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're a business owner ready to take your business to the next level, you need to reach out to Caldwell Country Chevrolet and take a look at the fleet of vehicles that they have. They've expanded their selection of commercial vehicles to meet your everyday need, and they've got the muscle to handle those tough jobs, and they want to make sure that you know that they are a business elite dealer, which means they understand what it takes to keep your company moving forward. And that's not all. Every commercial vehicle comes with that legendary free oil change for life because they believe in supporting local businesses, just like they support the Aggies. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports. And they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. About 33 minutes left in the show. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center as we try to continue breaking things down here on a Monday morning. Reese Nygren?
Yeah, Mike texted in. He said, I think fans have forgotten that Jimbo was 1-9 in SEC road games after Kellen Mond left. Mike Elko is 5-3 so far.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and this year, even more specifically, is 3-1 in his second year. You know, like last year was like go beat an all right. They ended up being all right. They'd salvage it in the second part of the year. Go beat an unranked Florida team in the swamp. That was like a step. Go beat Mississippi State, an unranked Mississippi State team, but a place that you historically have struggled. That was a step. And then they didn't handle the environments at night very well. You know, obviously Auburn and South Carolina. This is a process, and I think we've forgotten that a little bit. That for Mike Elko, he's in a process of building this program. That process continues Wednesday with National Signing Day. It's going to continue with the portal, where they should have a ton of momentum right now. Even this year, like going down to Austin and playing Texas is part of a process. You would have loved to have won. I think you should have won, you know, in terms of you had the better team. I think a lot of people could tell you that doesn't always matter in a rivalry game, I mean, especially one of that magnitude. I think Mac Brown could tell you that a couple times. I think R.C. Slocum could tell you that a couple times. Like, a lot of times it's not the best team that wins. I'm not saying that as an excuse. It just happens that way. But part of the process is you learned how to win on the road this year. You went and won at Notre Dame, a top 10 team. You went and won. You won at Arkansas, again, a tough place to play in a game that was always super competitive anyway at neutral. You went and won on the road. You went and won in Death Valley, which A&M has not done since I was a student. You know, like that, and you ran them out of there. You went and won in Columbia in that weird environment. Like, they handled everything thrown at them until Friday night. And, yeah, I would love to have seen them win that game, but to look at even the overall record, the road record, this is not I've said this a million times. On a normal year, this team, people would not say, has a chance to win it all. You say it's a really good team. Most years, this team wouldn't be able to beat the Nick Saban Alabamas or the high-end Kirby Smart Georgias that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't even have been in an SEC title game, which they didn't go to anyway, but they were close, really close. But this year's college football, this team is good enough to make a real run at it. They still are. I know if you're discouraged because you watched Texas run on them, they hadn't run on anyone. I'm concerned about all those things too. But A&M still does a lot of things right, and they bring a lot of weapons to the table, and they do a lot of things right defensively and create havoc that teams are going to have a very difficult time beating them.
Yeah.
And especially if these guys get rested and healthy, and you get Moss back and Scooby Williams, who I think is a big part of the defense. Yet, and these guys haven't played in weeks, and they're really good, particularly Lev. You get all that going, and hopefully they take this loss really personally and really seriously. I remember in '98, A&M was better than Texas all year. Now, that Texas team, to me, was better than this one. That Texas team had a running back that you might have heard of named Ricky Williams.
Pretty good.
In fact, Dante Hall told me during the game, he goes, man, the last time I was on this field, Ricky Williams broke the record. He was in that game in '98. So I guess that was Dante's like second year, probably. Maybe his freshman year. But anyway, that's how, that team was really good. But A&M was better all year. A&M went in that game and Texas won. I don't know if it's 26-24, whatever, that's something in that score range with the field goal late.
Yeah.
And A&M regrouped, and they went and won the Big 12 title in their next game. Shocked the world, shocked Kansas State. So, again, there are things we saw in that game that lower my level of confidence that they could go win it all, because a couple of them are recurring themes. And then there are some things that I'm not worried about that we saw in that game. But it doesn't change my mind that this team can win some games in this playoff. Absolutely they can.
One of the things that OB brought up, and we probably got to hit a break after that, is that, unfortunately, some of Marcel's turnovers have been within the 21, inside the 21. I think 5 of his 10, is that the right stat?
Yeah, I think it was
5 of his 10 have been inside the 21-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's something understandable there, is that everything's condensed more.
Yep.
But second, yeah, it's not worth. You don't want to throw them anywhere. You want to throw them inside your own 21. But yeah, he's costing points with those, no question about it.
We'll hit a break. We'll now talk college coaching. Bucky McMillan had to reschedule, so we'll try to get to him at some point later on this week. Right now, Milliken Reserve Time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. If you haven't been outdoors with your family recently, haven't been able to go for nice walks, hike, whatever it may be, you're missing out on an awesome opportunity there at Milliken Reserve, where they have all the animals you can imagine: the white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles. They've got the hiking, the biking, the canoeing, the kayaking, the equestrian trails, the evening yoga, the summer camps, the music festivals, the farmer markets, and the farm tours. It is an awesome place to come together. Great neighborhoods, but also just a cool place to go hang out. Check out the website, millikenreserve.com. That website again, millikenreserve.com. Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And we're back. TexAgs Live.
Don't you tell me that.
I mean, put your headphones on every once in a while.
Why would I wear headphones?
So you can hear the music and enjoy the atmosphere that the zone puts together for us. No, and then when a caller comes in, you don't have to like fumble and hello. Like, that's why. I think I gave you a good reason. What are we talking about, coaches?
Yeah, coaching carousel.
All right, coaching carousel. So former Texas A&M front runner Mark Stoops fired from Kentucky. Wow. You know, not unexpected.
It was, it looked like he had kind of.
Your mic isn't on. Let me. It's on. It's on.
Oh, it fell
Yeah,
off.
it's
Oh,
not
you're not
on
wearing
him.
it. Oh, my.
Well, this is why.
This is my fault. Right?
We're an edgy radio show. We can't have microphones on the desk. We have to have these stupid cords everywhere that fall off all the time.
Like the SEC network.
Yeah, we're the SEC network.
We try.
Yeah. No, we're not. Like a newsflash, we're not. Okay.
Well, yes, we're not as talented, and
Well, no, we'd have better stats.
I don't do stats anymore. You know what we'd have? The analyst would look up his own stats. That's what we'd have.
Yeah, I just saw a deal with Greg Olson today. He uses next gen stats, and they provide them for him, place them right in front of him. They have them in his ear. He knows all that stuff because other people do it.
So you're saying that I haven't trained up our staff?
Yes.
And
Sorry, staff. I'm trying to blast Nuño here, not
and you haven't
guys.
trained me up, so I'm blasting you.
Okay. It does always. Last I checked, it flows downhill, not uphill. But
I'm a reflection of the leadership that I've learned from. Anywho.
Okay, well, here's the leadership. Get me some bleepity bleeping stats from now on.
I don't do stats.
Have yourself a team that does. What was your question again?
I see. That's the difference. I don't interview you. We have conversations.
Well, you asked me a question.
I
made a comment.
Blanket
What was
statement.
it? What was it?
I thought it was unexpected or not unexpected. I thought it was because of the buyout. I was a little surprised that Mark Stoops got fired, but of course the production hasn't been there in years. So time to move on.
I think it's the right thing to do. You get humiliated by a rival. You talk about losing to a rival. They got beat 41-0 at Louisville, who's not even that good. It's bad. Kentucky, it looked like he might salvage it there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Florida they put, I don't want to say belt to whatever, it's gotten too cliche.
BTA.
But they just beat the crap out of.
Yeah.
And to go do that, they played, they took Texas to overtime. They did a lot. They were playing much better football, it felt like, down the stretch there. And then all of a sudden this happens. So, yeah, not enough wins, more than enough time. I can't imagine how stale Kentucky football was for their fan base. It's the right thing, right move. It's wild that A&M was legitimately, not A&M, but people at A&M were legitimately wanting to hire that guy just as recently as 2 years ago. And Kentucky, I think, probably would have been fine with it. So Kentucky, Will Stein's the big name?
Yeah.
I think for Kentucky to be something like that would be a really good hire.
I agree.
They missed the Liam Cohen deal like a couple years ago. I think had Stoops left to come to A&M, they might have hired Liam Cohen. And I think Will Stein's like a young, I know he's young, he's like young, up and coming. Everybody talks about him as one of the freshest, brightest offensive minds.
Yeah.
And I think for a place like Kentucky, they could use that. I think it's, it has a chance to work with Lebby and Mississippi State to whatever level. I don't know. Kentucky and Mississippi State's definition of working is different than, say, an A&M or Texas or an LSU, but it doesn't mean they can't win big. It just means they probably win big and then go get poached somewhere else. But I think that'd be a great fit, Stein. And here's the thing, too. A lot of schools do this. When you make a firing, when you fire a coach or a coach leaves you, you try to kind of go the opposite direction, particularly in a firing, because people have gotten tired of a certain brand and they've gotten tired of like, hey, this isn't working and we've had to ride this out down the stretch. So you try to find something the complete opposite, whether that was in terms of a personality or whether you go, man, we were really bad at offense during this stretch. Let's flip this around and get really good at, let's do a high flying, light up the scoreboard type thing. because that's what our fans want right now. That's what they'll embrace. That's what they'll buy into. And so for Kentucky to come off that Mark Stoops really stale style of offense, win a game 13-12 type thing, to go to a guy like Will Stein, I think that would be good for them.
Yeah, and the John Summerall to Florida, while I'm not surprised by that, what I read yesterday was that he was scared off of all the boosters at Auburn and all the drama that they have, which I mean, I think Summerall, at least from an interview perspective, I really like his vibe, his style.
I do too.
I think he's going to be a good fit at Florida.
I think he's a really good coach, young coach. Yeah, I think that's a great fit at Florida. Golish to Auburn, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. I know he's done good things there, but like, I like the Summerall to Florida more than I like Golish to Auburn. And I think Summerall would have been at Ole Miss had Lane not done what Lane did. I think that was very costly.
Yep.
I think for Ole Miss. And again, when you talk about the way Lane Kiffin has acted and how he's handled this, and everybody in the SEC and national media that want to apologize for him because he's friends with Nick Saban now, because Nick Saban's his mentor, and they all want to, line up and tell you how great. It's almost like they're trying to tell you how great a guy Lane Kiffin is, which is wild to me. They ignore the antics, the childish antics, like calling Bryce Anderson the B word during the game, and what he did to the OU player after the game, calling him out on the field, like all these things they just overlook. And I think it's funny because it's Lane. It's weird to me how so many of these people in the media are apologists for Lane Kiffin. And they don't have to be. Just say he's a really good coach and say he's a unique dude that's just kind of very quirky and eccentric and really
if you're
different.
Okay with that, it can work.
Yeah, but don't try to sell me on all this other stuff. It's bizarre. But I think Ole Miss going, promoting from within, taking Golding, from DC to head coach, I think that's fine because I think if you're Ole Miss, you're in the playoffs right now. You can win a game, maybe two. Like, try to hold it together. The problem is did Lane take his whole offensive staff? Could he not have let Weiss coach there for a couple weeks and see where it goes? That's the problem there. But if you're Ole Miss, you try to win a playoff game or two with this team and this quarterback and this running back and see what you can do with it and not get into this watered-down coaching pool this late.
Yeah.
And if Golding doesn't work next year and it looks like they're going to go 6-6 or something, you can move on from it and get a head start on the next year's coaching cycle or even 2 years from now. So they're not locked in to anything long-term, and you just don't want to do a knee-jerk. It's a bad situation that Kiffin put them in.
Yeah, and yesterday I made the comparison about leaving the broadcast world. I'm going to use a banking one now for a second because I
forgot you're in the banking world too.
Oh, yeah, that's not why I'm breaking it up. But let's say you work at Chase Bank, and you have a book of clients, and you take a job with Wells Fargo. They're not going to let you stick around and contact all your people while you're there. It's the same thing. Like, I know people, sometimes it works when you're coming up from a smaller school. They're like, hey, go finish. But when you're at a perceived same level
well,
type
you're in
of
the
job,
same conference.
Right.
Whatever the level anyone perceives, it's actual conference foe. And the problem, too, is you nailed it without saying it. It's the portal. If you're going to if Tulane were to let Summerall finish and Florida says, okay, then how many players is Summerall going to bring with him from Tulane to Florida? How many players did Mike Elko bring with him from Duke? And they weren't in a playoff or anything, from Duke to A&M. Zero, right?
He didn't.
Yeah, they took one committed recruit, unsigned but committed. Is there a player?
No.
Two at Tulane, maybe, that he would bring? Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is going to, unless he can go higher, he's going to try to go get Trinidad Chambliss and an all-SEC tailback to go to Baton Rouge with him.
Right.
And that's just the start. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That guy has showed you his true colors. You knew his true colors when you hired him, but you were okay with it. So from a little standpoint, I don't feel bad for Ole Miss. You chose this, and he gave you 6 great years by anyone's metric. So I don't feel that bad, but at the same time, like you know what he is. Why on earth would you let him stay in that building? And then secondly, look, the thing I'll say is he didn't really win anything there.
Yeah,
and it took him until like a year ago to win a true game of substance in these big games. They were always close and competitive. Took him till last year's Georgia game to win something, in a big game that truly mattered. It was year 5. So I don't think it's the slam dunk sure thing people think. It should be. It should be, and LSU fans should be really excited about it, but it will be interesting to watch without question.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll have a fake final segment on the other side that'll be about 2.5 minutes long. Daily Company, family-owned, licensed, insured business that offers HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services available to you 24/7, 365. When it comes to the HVAC, those are the thermostat repairs, refrigerant leaks, the furnace failures, the seasonal tune-ups. They take care of that for you. Plumbing-wise, leak repairs, clogged drains, you name it, water heater installation, electrical, wiring outlet repairs. They'll make sure they upgrade those for safety and efficiency. Generator-wise, repair, maintenance, and installation to make sure that you're prepared for a power outage. They take care of all of College Station, all of Bryan, all of Houston, all of Austin. Upfront prices with no surprises. Contact the Daily Company, 979-2060-2020. That's 979-260-2020, or visit godaily.com to experience the daily difference. Final segment of the program. It is TexAgs. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, closing out some thoughts. So onward and upward. Sucks, but let me hand this to you. But we move on, Billy.
Move on to the playoffs. We don't we're not saying, oh, they had a great year. They're going to go to, X bowl game and have a chance to finish in the top 5, which would be great in and of itself. But you're going to the playoffs, and you're probably hosting a game at Kyle freaking Field for a college football playoff game at Kyle Field. And we'll wait to see what that draw looks like. when you start to look ahead to that second round, like it's going to be either a game that you feel like, man, we have a real chance at this, or it's going to be still something that you go, hey, let's go take a shot. Let's go take our best shot and see what happens type thing. And I'm talking about like the Ohio State. And I don't even feel right saying that about Georgia. I mean, I know Georgia. I know what they did to Texas. That game was 14-10 going in the fourth. A&M's game with 9 minutes left, they trailed Texas 2017. The home team pulled away in both those games with a massive home field advantage in each of those instances. Yep. A&M is good enough to beat any team in this playoff. And Ohio State is the team that nobody wants to see for as long as they can avoid them. And I think that includes A&M and everyone else. Everyone, including Georgia. But outside of that, A&M and several other teams have to feel like, I mean, everybody feels like this, but I think fairly, I would say everybody but maybe an OU, who I think can win a game here or there, but they'd be a tough matchup for A&M. But I just don't think their offense is such that they'll be able to advance very far. But it's anyone's game to me outside of Ohio State. Anyone in this field, and that includes Texas A&M. Obviously not the bottom couple, Virginia, Tulane, like they could maybe hope to win a game. But the other 10, it's like there are 9 teams. It's anyone's game. And then there's Ohio State. But guess what? Even if you look at that bracket when it comes out next week, and it's A&M, and if they win, they play Ohio State. Can I tell you what that involves? That means Texas A&M, the Aggies, and the Buckeyes at the Rose Bowl in the college football playoff. Like, that's your low end of the setup, how it could be. Home field game, playoff game, and if you win it, Rose Bowl against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And that's your kind of worst case scenario. So I think there's plenty of opportunity here for this team to do something, and we should absolutely be excited about it.
Billy, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
All right, Nuño.
Use that.
I like doing the show like this.
Yeah, you should whisper more.
Like a little. No, I'm talking about just this little pencil.
Yeah, I don't think Nick likes it.
Peanut mic.
That's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Monday. Tomorrow on the show, Josh Pate. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you mañana.